You already are that which you want to be. Some people would be like, "Oh, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to feel sad and depressed, and I don't want to doubt myself." But when you think about it, you gotta come to some sort of understanding that to a certain extent you do. Because if we're a temple for God to resonate in and to experience this human life, you're telling the God within you by thinking and constantly feeling poverty, lack, conditional love. Whether you know you're a God or you're not, or you don't know you're a God, your God powers, your God frequency, your God energy is always at work. It's always at work. There will never be a time where your godness is not working. Hi, you what? It's your girl Connie, and you are back watching another episode of A Freed Mind, where we take back the control of our mind and our reality. To all my new free minders, if you would make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that way you'll be ready to tap in when it's time to tap in. And to all my old free minders, thank you so much. I love y'all, and let's get into this episode. So, y'all, I had a phone call with my sister, and I called her because I wanted to get some help, some advice on my podcast. I called her and I said, "What are your interests?" And she's like, "What for?" I said, "Well, because I'm trying to create an audience of one, and I want to make sure that I'm speaking to a specific type of person." She's like, "Well, what do you mean a type of person? Like, what are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Well, my podcast is made for people like you." And it's my first time telling her this, but she's like, "People like me?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Well, what kind of people like me?" I said, "Well, it's people that tend to doubt themselves, limit themselves, and think that, their life is outside things and situations and other people dictate how their life is, but it's truly all up to you to create your life however you want it to be with the power of your mind, you know?" And so she's like, "Oh, well, that's not true because I just have bad luck and everything just happens to me and it's always little small things. It's always small things that just build up and it's always just something unfortunate happening to me." And so I didn't say anything to her because me trying to talk to her or how I talk to you guys, it goes in one ear and out the other. And so that's why I made this podcast because I want to help people like my sister. I want to help people like my sisters because believe it or not, we all got a little bit of, issues. So I wanted to tell her, which I did not, but hopefully one day she's going to see these episodes, and I think what it's going to take is for me to actually go somewhere with this for her to actually listen because she's my big sister, so she feels like she don't have to listen to me, but I'm only here to help, okay? So I wanted to tell her on the phone, I wanted to say the reason why you feel like you may have bad luck or you just have unfortunate circumstances constantly is because that's constantly what you fix your mind on. That's constantly what you think about. That's constantly what you emotionally emit to the universe. And a lot of times when we are in that state, we tend to look for something outside of us to validate this false happiness that we claim that we have for ourselves, or this false success, or this false love that we have for ourselves. We tend to look outside of ourselves for these things, but to look outside of you is to look in vain because when you look outside of you, you're only going to find exactly what you are. You're not going to find what you think you are, but you're only going to find what you actually are, which is unhappy, which is sad, which is lonely, which is unloved, or however you feel, or limited, or doubtful, or the opposite of abundance, whatever that word is. Baby. But it's like you never find what you think you are, you only find what you are. And a lot of times we also fixate our minds on these things, but that's because we don't know better. We don't know anything different than to fixate our minds on what's actually in front of us. And that's where we need to learn to stop fixating our minds on what's in front of us and I don't and somewhat build some sort of a faith, a knowing that the current situation does not have to always be your situation. You can always change your situation. You can always tell yourself in the universe, we're not doing this no more, baby. We're gonna do something different. Speak to yourself different. Speak to the universe different. You can always change your reality with a simple awareness, with a simple knowing, with a simple um accountability of being a part of the reason of why your life may be the way it is, because we're gods. We are a reflection of God. We are a temple for God. And I always say this, it's whether you know you're a God or you're not, or you don't know you're a God, your God powers, your God frequency, your God energy is always at work. It's always at work. There will never be a time where your godness is not working. Regardless of you being aware of that or not, you are in a position where you are using that God energy, that God power to create a better life, or you're going to be using that God energy, that God power to destroy the reality that you already have. And you destroy it when you constantly are fixated on the negative that the universe is showing to you. And you don't we don't know any better. We don't know any different than to fixate on the problems of right now. Because we can't physically see the future, but we have some sort of a knowing. You have some sort of a knowing that any time that you've been in a hard situation, you always found your way out of it. Now, how did that happen? Tell me how that happened. You had to have, in a moment, if you think about it, in a moment of you being in the midst of being in chaos or whatever, in the midst of those moments, you had to have thought of coming out of it. You had to have had a tiny little thought of coming out of it, and you had to have had a big enough vibration, emotion, picturing yourself coming out of that situation and being something better. And then guess what? You end up coming out of it. And then you wondering, you are in a now you're in a better space. Now you're happy for the moment, but then soon something bad happens again. Now you're or not even happy for the moment, but then when you're in that good space, you start to think of, well, this could go wrong. Why could it go wrong? Because it always does. And when you're saying things like that and you're putting that energy out there, the universe, like I told you before, has no choice but to give you what you ask for. The God in you has no choice but to give you what you ask for. I just followed this person called Neuro something. I don't know exactly his name on Instagram, but he just followed me and I've been going through his content and he talked about how you worship these different types of gods. You worship the god of poverty or you worship the god of hatred or you worship the god of lack. All of those different frequencies or emotions that you're emitted is you worshiping that that God within you. Because God can be all things. God can be unhappy. He could be abundant. He could be a God of poverty. He could be a God of unconditional love. Whatever it is that you're constantly in a state of, that is your God reflecting out to you. And I like the concept that he was going with about how, we you worship these different type of gods, but I feel like it's different in a way that not only are you worshiping these different types of gods, but that's what you're telling the God in you. Because if we're a temple for God to resonate in and to experience this human life, you're telling the God within you by thinking and constantly feeling poverty, lack, conditional love. You're telling that God within you to show you those things when you're constantly thinking on it and you're constantly feeling it. And I just want my sister and people like my sister who don't understand this power that they have to really understand that you are the creator of your own life. You are the creator of your own reality. The reason why your life is the way it is right now is because you made it that way. Sit back and actually think about it and look at it and be like, I created this reality. The car that you have, the clothes that you have, the job that you have, the kids that you have, the friends that you have, did I say family? I don't know about that one, but everything in your life that you have, you created it. You did. And what's crazy, but I'm going to say it because it's so real, is that you already are that which you want to be. You already are which that you want to be. Some people would be like, "Oh, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to feel sad and depressed, and I don't want to doubt myself." But when you think about it, you gotta come to some sort of understanding that to a certain extent you do. To a certain extent you do, because you constantly are thinking about it. You're constantly vibrating on that frequency of shame and guilt and sadness. You're constantly thinking about those things. So if you want it to be something different or you wanted to experience something different, you will think different. You will feel different. You have to feel what it's like to be in that future experience before that future experience actually comes to you. To a certain extent, you have to really think about it and look at it like, dang, I am that which I want to be. People say they want to be successful, they want to make money, they want to do these things, but then they stay in the house all day long and don't do nothing. People say that they want love and they want to be cared for, but then they treat people like shh, and they treat themselves the same way. You already are that which you want to be. Really ask yourself, what do you want to be? Because subconsciously, you already are that which you want to be. So now, consciously, I want you to think of what is it that you truly want to be and be it. If anybody has experienced any sort of level of what I'm saying right now, drop a experience, the word experience, in the comments. Drop the word experience. And if you know what you want to be, drop know what you want to be in the comments. Okay, so before we get out of here, I'm going to read some of the comments that was left. Last week, I asked you guys to leave a comment. Really not even a comment, but I told you guys to go on my Instagram and DM me your response of what are you going to start saying no to? Because whatever you can't say no to has some sort of control over you. And we don't let things control us over here in a free mind, baby. Okay? So I'm gonna just zoom. I'm gonna just scroll through and try to find some of these comments that was left on the video and read them to y'all. Okay, so one person said, I will start saying no to plans and invitations that do not bring me joy. That's it. Joy is the only reason I'm putting my energy into something. I'm not doing a single thing I don't like era. Cause what? Yes, say no to that. If you don't want to go out, don't go outside. Don't go outside. You don't want to go. No. Okay, another one. I'm going to say no to all the low vibrating content on these socials these days and people who like bringing low energy. Peace, peace, little goddess. Keep it up and thank you for your services. Thank y'all. Y'all so sweet. I love y'all. That's a good one though. You gotta change your content on your phone by unfollowing the negative stuff and following the things you actually want to see. Okay, so those are the two that we have from the last episode. Make sure to drop go onto the Instagram in the description below and DM me what are you going to start saying no to. And so for this episode, I'm going to start saying no to low level gods. Low level energy, low levelness. Just worshiping low level gods. Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of A Freed Mind. Okay, and I will see y'all next week. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, baby.